To place a fraud alert, there's telephone numbers associated with the credit bureaus. And the big three credit bureaus are where you're gonna wanna place those fraud alerts. There's Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion. Each of those credit bureaus have an 800 number on their website. So if you see any sort of suspicious activity on your credit report, it could be an inquiry that you don't recognize, it could be an account that you don't recognize, or if you're getting calls about an account you don't recognize, I'd recommend immediately calling each one of the three credit bureaus and placing a freeze. What that will do is will ensure that the fraudster, if there is a fraudster, can't open up any additional accounts in your name and really permeate the fraud in more aspects of your life. When you see fraud happening, call the police immediately. And this can be an uncomfortable situation for people to do who haven't otherwise interacted with any of law enforcement officials. But all you need to do is go online, Google or Bing, if that's your thing, your local law enforcement agency, just your town police department, and give the non-emergency telephone number a call. From there, they'll either come to your house where you're more comfortable, send an officer to your house, or they'll ask you to come into the police department and they'll take down a report regarding what happened. Let them know, which financial institution the fraud happened, which would be which bank is trying to collect from you, and just let them know everything you learned about the fraud as you're experiencing it. And what the police report will do is it'll show the financial institution that you are actually the victim of identity theft, and they can help put an end to any further fraud happening and close out the current fraud that's going on. When you contact your bank for the fraud, tell them everything. Tell them how you learned about the fraud, tell them where you were when the accounts were opened, what you were doing. For example, maybe you're at work or you're traveling and someone in a different part of the country is opening an account in your name. That's helpful information to the bank because what they can do with that information is see where was this card swiped and where was the consumer saying that, who's saying that they're the victim of identity theft. Oftentimes with the fraud, things are happening across the country. You might live in California and there's fraud in Tampa. That can't happen because the two are thousands of miles apart. So when you give the bank that information, that allows the bank to quickly determine, is this person telling the truth or not? And when they have all that information, if they reject your claim, that gives you a stronger case to pursue against that particular bank. To prevent further fraud, I always recommend just looking at your accounts. When you get your emailed statements or your mailed banking statements, just take a quick look and see if there's anything you don't recognize. Same thing with your credit report. If you're monitoring your credit report, just take a look every so often and look at the accounts that are on your credit report, look at the inquiries that are on your credit report. And if you see anything you don't recognize on any one of those things, on your bank statements, it could be cash advances, withdrawals, purchases you didn't make, and similar accounts in your credit report, just monitor it. And if you see anything you don't recognize, immediately call the bank or the mortgage company or whoever is reporting this account that's unfamiliar to you. A lot of times when fraud occurs, the fraudster is not doing just one account. Oftentimes what we'll see is when the fraudster has access to your information, they're opening up multiple accounts with different financial institutions throughout the country. And the normal response to that is to be completely overwhelmed and bury your head in the sands. But there's never a point where the fraud is too large to deal with. All you need to do is, go through the dispute process, contact an attorney like myself at Loker Law, and just pick off each account one at a time. Because there's gonna be a time when the fraud stops. Then what we need to do is go after each account and rectify that situation so you get a clean credit report and it can stop all those collectors from contacting you and just get your life back to how it was before the fraud occurred. Immediately after the fraud occurs, I'd recommend taking 3 steps. Freeze your credit reports, contact the bank to let them know the fraud occurred, and if you're uncomfortable with those things, and if you'd like some further guidance, you could also call Loker Law. And what we can do from there is assist you through each one of the steps in order to make sure that the fraud stops as quickly as possible and to protect your rights in a way that will allow you to move forward with a claim if needed.